In the heart of our quaint town, where rolling hills and meandering streams painted a serene picture, my childhood unfolded. Our home, a modest structure with creaking wooden floors and windows that framed the beauty of sprawling fields, stood as a universe in itself. The scent of sawdust lingered in the air, a testament to my father's labor, hands roughened by years of carpentry, but gentle in touch. "Anna, pass me that hammer, will you?" my father would often call out, his eyes crinkling with warmth. As I handed him the tool, he'd pause, placing a gentle kiss on my forehead. "Hard work and humility, my dear. That's what builds a strong foundation." My mother, a school teacher with a passion for literature, filled our home with books and stories. The worn-out armchair in the corner was my favorite spot, where she'd read tales that sparked my imagination and nurtured my dreams. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of orange and pink across the sky, I sat on the porch with my father. The creaking of the rocking chair matched the rhythm of our conversation. "Life in this town is like the slow, steady flow of the stream down yonder," he said, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "It's unhurried, unpretentious. But within that simplicity lies true joy." Our small town embraced a close-knit community spirit. Neighbors greeted each other with familiarity, and community events, like the annual Harvest Festival, marked the highlights of our social calendar. I cherished the simplicity of life, finding joy in the small pleasures: the fresh scent of earth after rain, the rustling of leaves underfoot, and the chorus of birds at dawn. As the stars emerged in the night sky, my mother would share stories of her own childhood. "Your grandparents instilled in me the importance of education and kindness," she'd say, her eyes gleaming with nostalgia. "They taught me that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the richness of the heart." In the embrace of this simple life, I learned the values that would shape my character: hard work, humility, and an appreciation for the beauty that exists in life's uncomplicated moments. Little did I know that these values would become the roots of my journey, grounding me in the face of unexpected challenges and shaping the love story that lay ahead. The quaint town, with its familiar faces and unhurried pace, suddenly found itself touched by an air of novelty. It all began at the local library, a haven of knowledge where time moved at its own leisurely speed. It was there that I first encountered Brandon, a visitor from the city, whose presence brought with it a whiff of sophistication. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" His voice carried a hint of urban charm as he gestured to the empty chair beside me at the worn-out wooden table. I looked up from my book, caught off guard by the stranger's sudden appearance. "Not at all. Please, have a seat," I replied, trying to mask my surprise. Brandon's easy smile and genuine interest in my small-town tales created an instant connection, a bridge between our seemingly disparate worlds. As we spent more time together, our initial conversations became the tentative dance of two worlds cautiously orbiting each other. Brandon spoke of city life, the fast pace, endless opportunities, and dazzling lights that painted the night sky. In return, I shared stories of our small town, the annual Harvest Festival, serene walks by the stream, and the close-knit community that defined our lives. One evening, as we sat on the old park bench by the lake, our conversation stretched for hours. The lake's placid waters reflected the changing hues of the sky, mirroring the gradual intertwining of our lives. Brandon's eyes, filled with curiosity, met mine. "Anna," he said, his voice tinged with a vulnerability I hadn't seen before, "I've always been surrounded by people who care more about wealth and status. But with you, I've found a serenity that I didn't know existed. You show me a different way of life, one that's genuine and full of warmth." His words stirred something deep within me, and I took his hand in mine, feeling a slight tremor. "Mark, where we come from doesn't define us. It's who we are when we're together that matters. You've brought a new perspective into my life, opening my eyes to dreams I never dared to have." The park bench, witness to the growth of our connection, became a symbol of the invisible thread weaving our disparate worlds into one. Little did we know that this unexpected meeting would lay the foundation for a love story that transcended the boundaries of our backgrounds. As the seasons changed in our quaint town, so did the nature of my relationship with Brandon. Our love story unfolded like the petals of a blooming flower, each moment adding a new layer of depth and meaning. In those early days, our meetings at the park bench by the lake became a ritual. The changing hues of the sky reflected in the placid waters, mirroring the evolving emotions between us. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow on our surroundings, Brandon's vulnerability surfaced again. "Anna, I've always been surrounded by people who care more about wealth and status. But with you, I've found a serenity that I didn't know existed. You've shown me a different way of life, one that's genuine and full of warmth." I smiled, feeling the connection between us deepening. "Mark, where we come from doesn't define us. It's who we are when we're together that matters. You've brought a new perspective into my life, opening my eyes to dreams I never dared to have." Our relationship blossomed, and Brandon confided in me about his family, particularly his mother, Victoria. "She has her own ideas about who I should be with," he admitted, a hint of concern in his eyes. "I'm just worried about how she'll react to us." I reached out, taking his hand in mine, feeling the slight tremor. "We'll face that together," I assured him. "Love isn't about backgrounds or expectations. It's about two people who choose each other against all odds." As our bond deepened, we navigated the complexities of love, facing not only the joys but also the challenges that arose. Late into the night, we would lie under the stars, Mark's arms around me. "I can't believe she's being so difficult," Mark would say, frustration evident in his voice. "I wish she could just see how amazing you are, how you make me happy." I would lie there, feeling a mix of love and sorrow in my heart. "It's okay, Mark. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I love you, and that's what matters." Little did we know that our love, tested by the judgment of others, would soon face its greatest challenge in the form of Brandon's family, setting the stage for a tumultuous journey ahead. As the chapters of our love story turned, the anticipation of meeting Brandon's family hung in the air like a storm on the horizon. The grandeur of their mansion loomed large as we approached, a stark reminder of the different worlds Mark and I came from. Inside the opulent dining room, adorned with elegance that felt foreign to me, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Victoria, Brandon's mother, greeted us with a veneer of politeness that thinly veiled her disapproval. "So this is the young lady who's captured my son's heart," she remarked with a sly smile, her eyes taking me in. "Interesting choice, Mark." I felt a flush of embarrassment, but managed a polite decline. "No thank you, I'm always eager to try new things." The evening progressed, and with each passing moment, Victoria's comments grew more pointed. She eyed my dress, a simple but neat outfit I thought was appropriate. "Is that what passes for evening wear in your town? It must be challenging to find good clothes on a modest budget." Mark, sensing the tension, jumped in, trying to steer the conversation elsewhere. "Mom, let's not focus on appearances. Anna and I are happy together, and that's what matters." But Victoria was unrelenting. "Tell me, Anna, what do your parents do? It's always fascinating to learn about different walks of life." I answered, feeling the weight of her judgment. "My father is a carpenter, and my mother is a schoolteacher." "Oh, how quaint," she replied, her voice dripping with condescendence. "Hard-working people, I'm sure. But I suppose they couldn't offer you much in the way of a financial head start." The meal continued, each comment veiled in politeness, but sharp enough to cut. Mark was visibly uncomfortable, his attempts at defending me seeming to amuse his mother more than anything. As we left, Mark's father, Daniel, pulled me aside, offering a kind smile. "Anna, you handled yourself well. Don't let her get to you. She'll come around." In the car, Mark apologized profusely. "I'm so sorry, Anna. I didn't think she'd be this harsh." I sighed, a mix of hurt and determination in my voice. "It's okay, Mark. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I love you, and that's what matters." Little did we know that this night was just the beginning of the storm that would test the strength of our love and resilience. The wedding reception, intended to be a celebration of love, became an arena of tension as Victoria, with her condescending remarks, cast a shadow over the joyous occasion. The opulent setting and the well-dressed guests seemed to amplify the stark contrast between our worlds. Amidst the hushed conversations and stifled whispers, Brandon's grandmother, Mrs. Rosemary, a figure of respect and authority in the family, rose to her feet. The room fell into a stunned silence as she requested the microphone, her poised demeanor and serious expression drawing everyone's attention. For generations, she began, her voice firm and unwavering. This family has thrived under this very roof. It was here that you met your husband. A hush fell over the room as she addressed Victoria directly, her eyes sharp. For a former maid to stand here and scorn someone for their humble beginnings and modest means is not only ironic but deeply hypocritical. The room was engulfed in a stunned silence, every guest hanging on to Mrs. Rosemary's every word. As Victoria sat there, her face turning a shade paler, her eyes widening in shock and embarrassment, Mrs. Rosemary continued, her tone unyielding. So, for a former maid to stand here and scorn someone for their humble beginnings and modest means is not only ironic but deeply hypocritical. The room erupted into applause as Mrs. Rosemary turned her gaze to me. "Anna," she said, a hint of a smile playing on her lips, "you handled yourself with grace. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are." The atmosphere shifted, the tension dissipating, and I felt a mix of relief and gratitude. Mark, who had been silent until then, approached me with a proud smile. "I never expected Grandma to stand up for us like this." I squeezed his hand, feeling a cautious hope for the future. "She's amazing." The rest of the evening felt lighter, the air cleared by Mrs. Rosemary's candid defense. Guests approached with warm congratulations, and Mark and I found solace in the support of those who saw beyond societal expectations. As the night came to a close, Mrs. Rosemary approached us, her eyes filled with wisdom. "This family has weathered storms before, and it will weather this one too. Stand strong together, and you'll overcome anything." Little did we know that Mrs. Rosemary's intervention would be the turning point, setting the stage for a family reckoning that promised to reshape the dynamics within Mark's family and, perhaps, lead to a brighter future. The air was thick with excitement and tension as Mark and I embarked on our honeymoon, seeking refuge from the recent family turmoil. The sandy beaches stretched before us, and the soothing sound of the waves provided a much-needed respite from the storm we had weathered. As we explored the quaint shops and meandering streets of the coastal town, the weight of the recent events began to lift. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of pink and orange across the sky, a stark contrast to the shadows of the past. Walking along the shore, Mark broke the silence. "Anna, I can't believe how lucky I am to have you by my side. Despite everything, you've been my anchor." I smiled, grateful for the serenity of the moment. We faced challenges, but love has a way of overcoming them. This honeymoon is a chance for us to leave the troubles behind and focus on our future. As we spent our days exploring and our nights talking about our dreams, the challenges we have faced seemed to fade into the background. The memories of our simple town, the park bench by the lake, and the unspoken bond we shared became the foundation on which we built our vision for the future. On our last night, as we packed our bags for the journey home, Mark looked thoughtful. "You know, Anna, everything that happened made me realize how important you are to me. I can't imagine going through life with anyone else." His words touched my heart, and I hugged him tight. "I feel the same way, Mark. We've been given a chance to start fresh, and I believe we can face whatever comes our way." The honeymoon became more than just a getaway. It was a sanctuary where our love deepened, and the challenges we faced seemed to strengthen our bond. Little did we know that the calm after the storm was a precursor to the reality waiting for us back home, a home that had changed in ways we couldn't yet fathom. The car ride home from our honeymoon was marked by a quiet anticipation. Mark and I, lost in our thoughts, wondered about the changes that awaited us at his family home. The air was charged with uncertainty, yet there was a glimmer of hope for a fresh start. As we pulled into the driveway, the first thing we noticed was the absence of Victoria. Inside, we were greeted by Mark's grandmother, Mrs. Rosemary, who wore a knowing smile. "Welcome back, you two. I suppose you're wondering about the changes here," she said, her tone light, but with an undercurrent of seriousness. Mark looked around, curiosity and a hint of concern in his eyes. "Yes, where's Mom?" Mrs. Rosemary led us into the living room, a space that felt different from the one we left before our honeymoon. "Enough of her antics. Seems like she finally pushed him too far," she remarked, referring to Mark's father, Daniel. Mark's expression was one of shock mixed with a hint of relief. "I can't believe it. I mean, I knew things would change, but this is more than I expected." I reached out, touching his arm. "It's a lot to take in, but maybe this is for the best. A chance for everyone to start fresh on a more honest footing." Dinner that night was an oddly serene affair. The absence of Victoria was palpable, but not in the way we had anticipated. The family dynamics had shifted, and we were left to navigate the uncharted waters of this new reality. As we gathered in the grand living room, Mrs. Rosemary began without preamble, her voice firm and unwavering. "What happened at the wedding cannot be overlooked. The way you spoke to Anna was disgraceful. Victoria, usually composed, looked smaller somehow. Her usual confidence diminished. Daniel surprised her with his support. I stand with my mother on this. You've gone too far this time. It's for your own good." Mark, who had been silent, spoke up, his voice steady. "Mom, Grandma's decision is harsh, but it's fair. You need to understand the impact of your actions." Victoria's eyes filled with anger and disbelief, her usual poise crumbling under the weight of her new reality. I nodded, feeling a cautious hope for the future. Perhaps this would be a new beginning for her, for all of us. The family reckoning had been tough but necessary, a pivotal moment that promised to reshape the dynamics within Mark's family, hopefully for the better. In the days that followed the family reckoning, an unspoken tension lingered in the air. The once familiar halls of Mark's family home felt different, as if the walls themselves were adjusting to the seismic shift in dynamics. As we navigated this uncharted territory, there was a collective effort to rebuild bridges that had been strained. One afternoon, as Mark and I strolled through the garden, we found Mark's father, Daniel, tending to the roses. The air was heavy with the scent of blossoms, a stark contrast to the recent conflicts. "Hey, Dad," Mark began cautiously. "How are you holding up?" Daniel looked up from his gardening with a weary smile. "Change is never easy, son, but sometimes it's necessary. Your grandmother did what she thought was best for all of us." Mark nodded, a sense of understanding passing between them. "I just hope Mom sees it that way eventually." "I'm sure she will, given time," Daniel replied, patting Mark on the back. "It's a chance for reflection and growth for all of us." Meanwhile, in the heart of the family home, Mrs. Rosemary orchestrated a delicate dance of diplomacy. One evening, as we gathered in the living room, she addressed the lingering tension with a measured tone. "We've faced challenges before, and each time, we emerged stronger as a family. It's time for healing, for rebuilding the bonds that connect us." Mark's sister, Emily, spoke up, her voice soft but resolute. "Grandma, what can we do to make things right? I don't want us to be divided." Mrs. Rosemary smiled warmly. "Understanding and forgiveness go a long way, my dear. It's not about forgetting the past, but learning from it and moving forward with compassion." In the midst of these conversations, Victoria remained distant, grappling with the consequences of her actions. One evening, as we sat in the living room, she approached me tentatively. "Anna," she began, her voice hesitant, "I owe you an apology. I let my prejudices cloud my judgment, and it hurt you. I'm truly sorry." I met her gaze, sensing a genuine sincerity in her words. "Thank you, Victoria. Let's use this opportunity to build a new understanding." As the days turned into weeks, the family engaged in open dialogues, acknowledging past mistakes and envisioning a future where unity prevailed over discord. Little by little, the once fractured bonds began to mend, laying the foundation for a family strengthened by resilience and the wisdom gained through adversity. The days unfolded in Mark's family home, and a palpable sense of transformation hung in the air. The aftermath of the family reckoning had given way to a period of reflection and rebuilding, and slowly but steadily, a new chapter began. One evening, as we gathered for a family dinner, the atmosphere felt lighter than it had in weeks. Mark's father, Daniel, raised his glass, a glint of optimism in his eyes. To new beginnings, he toasted, and the clinking of glasses echoed through the room. Mrs. Rosemary, the matriarch who had steered the family through its tumultuous waters, spoke with a grace that had weathered many storms. In every crisis, there lies an opportunity for growth. Let's embrace this chance to become a stronger, more united family. Mark, who had weathered the storm with a resilience that mirrored his grandmother's, smiled at me across the table. Anna, thank you for standing by me through all of this. I couldn't have asked for a better partner. I squeezed his hand, feeling the weight of the past lifting. We faced this together, and we'll face whatever comes our way. Amid the shared laughter and warmth, Emily, Mark's sister, leaned over. I never thought I'd see the day when Grandma would be the peacemaker. She's quite remarkable. Mrs. Rosemary chuckled. Oh, my dear, I've seen enough in my lifetime to know that sometimes tough love is the only way to mend what's broken. As the evening unfolded, conversations flowed freely, unburdened by the lingering tension of the past. Victoria, still finding her place in this recalibrated family dynamic, approached me. Anna, I want to thank you for your patience and understanding. I know I have a long way to go to earn back your trust. I nodded, appreciating her humility. Let's focus on the future and building a family where everyone feels valued. The days turned into weeks, and the once divided family began to find its rhythm. Mark and I, stronger than ever, embraced the hopeful beginning that had emerged from the ashes of the past. On a quiet evening, Mark and I sat by the old park bench near the lake, the place where our story had begun. The serene waters reflected the changing hues of the sky, mirroring the journey we had undertaken. Mark turned to me, his eyes filled with love and promise. Anna, no matter what lies ahead, we'll face it together. Our love has weathered storms, and I believe it can withstand anything. I smiled, grateful for the winding path that had led us to this moment. To new beginnings, I echoed Daniel's earlier toast as Mark leaned in for a gentle kiss, a symbol of the hope that blossomed from the challenges we had overcome.